What's up everyone? My name is Trey Baird and this is Gossipin' Games, and today I just wanted to discuss some of my favorite YouTube personalities. I've always had a I've always had a fondness for snow and ice levels. I know that a lot of people on the internet don't like them, but I just always liked them. For some reason they remind me of the holiday season and the parts of the holiday season that I actually enjoy. Perhaps it's because I always got video games as a child for Christmas, so I have that positive association there. And I like snow, not everyone else does. Maybe that's part of the issue too. Maybe the people who don't like the ice and snow levels don't like ice and snow in real life. I just think they're cool. They add an extra aspect to it. And speaking of video games, I wanted to talk about some of my favorite YouTube personalities, and at the very top of that list is Cinemassacre, the angry video game nerd, James Rolfe, and Mike Matei, Ryan, Bootsy, all of those guys. Man, you guys are holding it down. You are an inspiration to all of us. You've inspired an entire category of video content. I'm not saying that Cinemassacre started the Let's Play category, because they didn't. I know that I believe it started on the Something Awful forum in the form of pictures, but Cinemassacre definitely made it boom with the Angry Video Game Nerd series. And it's just one of those things, like, why didn't I think of that? Because back when the Angry Video Game Nerd first came around, that's what I was doing. I was doing video production, and I could have very easily done something like that because I've always been into retro games. It's just one of those why didn't I think of that type of things. It's brilliant. And so many other people feel that way as well because they've all started their own things, and I may be a little late to the game, but scratch this off the bucket list because Gossipin' Games has been such a fulfilling project for me for this reason. Whoops. I've always wanted to do something like this, and now I'm doing it, and it's awesome. So thank you, Angry Video Game Nerd, James Rolfe, Mike Matei, Ryan, Bootsy, and everyone else who's ever worked on Cinemassacre. Thank you for that. You're an inspiration. After Cinemassacre, one of my favorite YouTube personalities is Tommy Sotomayor, and I understand that he's controversial. You know, if you're not hip to him, and I'm surprised if you're not, he's basically, his point of view is that he's a black man, and he's standing up for other black men, because, I mean, let's be honest, the black community, it has its issues, and, you know, everyone has their theory as to why these issues arise. Some people say it's, you know, white people's fault, other people blame it on black people themselves, but the most common theory is that it's the man's fault, the black man's fault. They're not, you know, being family men, they're being wild and crazy, they're doing jackass stuff, and Tommy's point of view is that it's the black woman's fault that the state of black culture is where it is. And I don't necessarily agree with everything he says. In fact, I disagree with a lot of it, but I find him incredibly entertaining. And he came into my awareness at a time where I was purposely avoiding, you know, content like his, you know, negativity and pointing fingers and just that sort of thing, anger. But I find him so entertaining that I'm able to look past a lot of that. Every once in a while, I'll just kind of be annoyed with some of the things that he's saying or how he's saying it. Man, this guy's tough. At any rate, I'm a big fan of his, not necessarily for what he says, but how he says it. After him is somebody that he's feuded with, Amazing Atheist. And Amazing Atheist is, you know, his title is deceptive. Not all of his content is about atheism. A lot of it is about like talking about feminism and just, you know, just ignorance in general. Not that I'm saying feminism is ignorance, but I'm not saying that either. I find his common sense approach to things and just the calm demeanor that he, you know, explains the simplest of concepts to knuckle-dragging simpletons. I find that very entertaining. You know, I like the fact that, you know, he's a white man who tells it like it is most of the time, and has no shame in being a white man who tells it like it is. Today's culture has vilified the white man for basically being, you know, at fault for everything that's wrong with society. And I'll take responsibility wherever appropriate, but I refuse to believe that I should feel guilty for the way I was born. I mean, that's generally the whole basis behind civil rights, the civil rights movement. You're not born inferior. Your actions and your thoughts and your words make you either inferior or superior. But the color of your skin or your gender does not make you inferior. Moving along, Pat the NES Punk and all of his amigos, you know, Ian Ferguson and Frank, big fan of that. I respect Pat's work ethic. You know, he puts out a video literally almost every day, if not every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And I've never understood why he called himself a punk, because he really doesn't epitomize the punk movement that much, except in his work ethic, his do-it-yourself work ethic. And even though I disagree with pretty much most of what Pat says on his podcast, I've always admired him for the way he gets out there. And, you know, he's not a person who lives privilege. He's a working man such as myself who has created his own brand out of nothing, and amidst opposition from other people, he has prospered. At least in my mind, he's prospered. He's now put out a book. He's an author, and I just think that's awesome. You have the slow-mo guys. I work hard. I work in food service, so sometimes it's cool to just come home and relax. And there's nothing more relaxing than watching these slow motion videos that the slow-mo guys put out. And speaking of work ethic, they put out hundreds of videos. And I've watched hours of their content. I'm not even sure if I've seen half of it. You know, it's just, there's so much of it. And it's so relaxing and it's so chill and it's just badass. I highly recommend it. The Nostalgia Critic, Channel Awesome. Speaking of work ethic, this guy puts out so much stuff. I mean, this guy has to be constantly working. It's no wonder that he's lost a lot of his hair. The guy probably doesn't know how to relax. And he has the personality of a comedian. He's always on, he's always funny, and I didn't used to like his videos until I saw him in some candid videos, and I realized he's actually incredibly funny. Perhaps in his scripted videos, he's being stretched a little too thin, like a little bit of butter being scraped across too much bread. But ever since I believe it was a Cinemassacre video where he was playing a video game with James. I believe it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the sequel to this game. That was when I finally realized that I like this guy. He's pretty cool and he's funny as hell. But yeah, awesome. MatPat, film theorist, game theorist, you know, his stuff is just so incredibly nerdy. And even though like none of what he comes up with is true, turns out to be true, the fan theories, they're all interesting as hell. And it's hard to argue with them. I probably don't have the intellectual capabilities to do it justice. You just have to check it out if you haven't. Film theorists and game theorists. MichaelBTheGameGenie. He just seems like such a nice guy to deal with. He seems like the nicest guy there ever is. And He's the type of person that I would love to just sit and chill with, play a video game, have a beer with. Too bad he lives all the way over in oh my god, what is it? It's Newfoundland or Newfoundland, however you say it. That, you know, Canadian island, not too far from New York. And then there's Randomland. A guy named Justin goes to like Disney World and Disneyland and does video blogs about all these cool things. Can't recommend it enough. He never ceases to entertain me. And he doesn't just go to Disney, he goes to all kinds of places. This is gonna be close.